Welcome everyone, Shawn Hannon. I'm going to kind of walk you through my DraftKIngs lineup construction for PGA this week, specifically for the Rocket Mortgage Classic, played at Detroit Golf Club this weekend, starting tomorrow morning. So this is being recorded Wednesday. I know this is very time sensitive. I'm going to try to do these on Wednesday, I think, maybe for a little bit, see if they help anybody, if anybody's interested. So I'm going to build a lineup for you. If you can see what I have up on the screen now, this is the DraftKIngs lineup creator tool. They're organized by salary. If you've never played DraftKIngs before, you can see over here there's a $50,000 salary cap that you have to play with. You can see there's 6 golfers you get to pick from, and you got to fit 6 golfers within that 50,000. And you can see they range from Bryson DeChambeau at the 11,700, all the way down to a slew of guys here around 6,000. So quite a difference in salary. I'm guessing there's over 100 guys here. Let me kind of go you through the process. So I've already narrowed down my player pool to about 25 guys. I used a service called Fantasy National Golf Club, so you can go check that out. I'll post a link to their website in the description here. But Fantasy National Golf Club, and they have stats available. So I'm not going to get too heavy into the stats. If you guys want to ask more specific questions, I'll definitely elaborate. But they use a metric that is very popular in the PGA called strokes gained. So without getting too much in, and because of the uniqueness of this tournament being only played one more time, we have a small sample size of this, so I don't have to get too far deep into the data, but I'll kind of walk it through so you kind of understand. So strokes gained basically is a metric that is every round is measured by strokes. Your strokes are either on the green or off the green, or tee to green, if you will, if they're not putting. Those strokes are then measured against the rest of the field that is playing in any particular tournament, which today, they group the players for this tournament's field, and they're measured against each other to see how many strokes more or less it took for that player compared to another or the field to reach that score. So tee to green is a very popular and important metric to measure. That's what I use primarily, and I'm going to kind of walk through that. So that's basically how many shots it took you to get from the tee to the green, not counting your putting, right? So greens in regulation would be an equivalent stat, but this kind of measures you against the field that we're playing. So my 25 players, I usually keep most of the top players here unless I feel like there's a pricing error. But I have, at the very top, Bryson DeChambeau. He's at the top of the list. I play Bryson almost every week. I'm not sure that I can play him at that price. Followed by Webb Simpson, $700 cheaper at $11,000, and then $1,000 cheaper than Bryson is Tyrrell Hatton. Patrick Reed at 10.5, Hideki Matsuyama at 10.2, Victor Hovland at 10. That's the tier. That's the top tier. Of those players, I expect all of them to be popular. Popular being at least double digits, maybe 15% owned for all of those. Victor Hovland seems to be the darling this week. He's played here before. He finished well here before. He's playing very well right now. I expect him to be popular. I expect him to be in some of my lineups. So I usually play one lineup primarily, and then I have 2 other variations of that lineup that I play in 3 max tournaments, and I'll kind of go through that as we get ready to enter a lineup here. But I'd like to just create a lineup for you guys and kind of walk you through this. So, because remember, there's more than just picking the best guys and kind of just jamming them in there. You gotta have a salary cap, and you can't just fit everybody the best. And in golf, there's such a high variance of actually winning a golf tournament that having the best player or the most expensive player per se is not necessarily the best play. As much as I love Bryson, the odds of him winning any one individual tournament is not high. It might be higher than other players, but it's not high in general. So it takes a lot to win a golf tournament. But some of the, like I said, the other high protection owners, I think, who are going to be highly owned this week, who are maybe not at the top of the pricing point, Harold Varner III, he's coming in at 7,600. I expect him to be popular. Doc Redman, he's at about 8,500. He finished second here last year. I expect him to be popular. If you don't recall, Nate Lashley last year. Yeah, Nate Lashley went opening 63, another 63 on Saturday, cruised to a 6-stroke 25 under. So it was his tournament to lose pretty much the whole time. Adam Hadwin, 8,200. I expect him to be popular. Kevin Na, 9,100. I expect him to be popular. You know, the golf course here at Detroit Golf Club, a Donald Ross design. So it's the same designer as my place of employer, Bellevue Country Club. So a shorter track, I think they max it out at about 7,300, but I think on the card it's about 7,000. So a shorter track. So it kind of brings some of the more accurate, shorter hitters into play here. If you looked at the leaderboard last year, the field wasn't that deep, but a lot of guys who you wouldn't expect to be near the top of the leaderboard were. So, and again, Nate Lashley was first and Doc Redman was second. So, but I expect him to be popular. Tony Finau, 9,300. He's kind of in that mid-tier there, or that second tier, along with Rory Sabatini, Sung Jae Im. Lucas Glover has played well here. I like Scotty Scheffler. I expect him to compete here. And then there's some other guys that if you look farther down the list in salary that might come into play, the Grayson Murray, Cameron Davis, Wes Bryan, Sam Burns of the world, they're all under 7,000. I have a little bit of interest in any one of those guys. Sometimes I like to piggyback two of those guys in the lineup to kind of differentiate. Some of the other guys that I haven't named yet that are in my 25, Mark Hubbard, Will Gordon, Maverick McNeely, I think I mentioned Hadwin, JT Poston. Yeah, I think I mentioned those other guys. So that's about the 25 guys that I've kind of narrowed it down to. But I'm going to go to my tee to green stat. So that's where I'm going to measure my 25 guys. I'm going to take that and I'm going to measure them. How are they playing? And I've narrowed my data search down to the last 24 rounds in the last 6 months. So I want to get a recent sample. I want to get how they're playing, and I want to compare the players who I've selected here, who I've narrowed it down to amongst each other to try to narrow it down even further. So at the top of my list for tee to green is going to be Bryson DeChambeau, Hideki Matsuyama, and Tyrrell Hatton are right at the top. You know, three of the players at over 10,000. Again, I think Bryson's out of my price point this week. I mean, he is, I think, if you had to pick me one player to be a one and done, it's Bryson. But I think I'm going to save the $1,000 and start my lineups with Tyrrell Hatton. He has played really well coming back. This seems like his kind of like Birdie Fest kind of tournament, and I'm going to start most of my lineups down here with Tyrrell Hatton. I'm going to try to use him and save that $1,000 to try to beef up the middle part of my lineup, and just hope that Bryson doesn't win this week. But, you know, if I had to bet money, maybe I'll bet Bryson on the side. But I think Tyrrell Hatton is my guy who I'm going to use at the top. I think I want to use Victor Hovland. He's going to be popular, so I'm going to have to figure out a way to differentiate, and I think I've done that a little bit already here with some of the cheaper guys here. But he's going to be popular, and obviously starting with two 10,000 guys, you can see I'm already down to 7,300. So you're going to have to find some players that are less expensive who could compete. Some of the guys that I named that would be 7,200 and less in my group, there's not many. Will Gordon is at 7,300. Mark Hubbard is 7,200. Sam Burns is 6,900. Cam Davis 6,500. Wes Bryan 6,500, and Grayson Murray at 6,400. Again, these are dart throws to some degree. If I'm going to use two 10,000 guys, I'm almost half going to have to go down to the bottom. Maybe starting with two 10,000 guys is not the way to go. If Hovland's going to be that popular, and listen, I think he's really, really good player, maybe coming off of him and going down to a Sung Jae Im, saving a couple $100, who, you know, can also make a lot of birdies, save a couple $100 and differentiate a little bit. Doesn't bump our average remaining salary for our players up too much, but it does differentiate. Who else would be below here that would give me some interest here? So if we're going down, Kevin Na is interesting. He can definitely get a fast. Let's see what happens to our remaining. If we go to Kevin Na, drop all the way down here. 75.50, that's a little bit more encouraging. I like Scotty Scheffler here too. Can we double up on the 9,000? 7,000? I think that's going to be tough to do. Let's stick with Kevin Na here for a second. So we're at 7,500. Let's scroll down. I told you mention some guys that we had mentioned. Doc Redman being popular, Lucas Glover. We could probably fit one of these guys in the mid-range here. Again, Redman is probably going to be popular with his course history. So dropping down to Lucas Glover could differentiate a little bit. Let's see what else we have down here that I like. Maverick McNeely. Not sure how popular he's going to be. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be middle of the pack, so maybe we throw in a Maverick McNeely. Not a terrible popular play, but we're starting with two really strong plays, and this is a guy who can make some birdies. Still leaves us with about 7,500 left, so that kind of gives us some play here, especially if we want to go down to some of these bottom players. So one of the players that I really like here, well, two players that I think I'm going to have a lot of in my three lineups are going to be Wes Bryan and Cam Davis. I think they're both going to be popular. Wes Bryan, only 2 matches back, so, small sample size, but has played really well since that. And Cam Davis, again, I'm going to go with the longer track record of Cam Davis in this lineup. But you can see what that does to our average salary. That bumps it up to about 8,000. So that gives us a chance to kind of move up here. See what's in the $8,000 range or thereabouts. And see what we like. So here we had some of our players here. Well, if we go back up to Lucas Glover here. So if Redman's going to be popular, maybe we can sneak in a Lucas Glover. That gives us 7,700 left, and you can see what we're left with here. Varner we think is going to be popular, but we might have differentiated enough in these other spots here to maybe go back to Varner. See what else we have here. Another strategy I like to do almost always is leave salary on the table. So even though I have $7,700 left here, I will not use all $7,700. I will almost assuredly have at least $100 left over. I think I saw last week that $8,000 was the best lineup, optimal lineup, I guess. So that's never going to happen. But some of the guys down here that I think are I think Mark Hubbard is a intriguing play this week. He makes a lot of birdies. He got hot for me last week. But you see, that's 500. So I don't want to start with 500 being the being where I'm going to start. I'd like to try to see if we can tweak this. Maybe find another spot where we can find some value. So let's see if we can move up from our bottom guy here first. So up from Cam Davis, who do we like? I had Sam Burns in my eye a little bit. I think Lanto Griffin's going to be popular here. I'm going to stay away from him here. I don't really like much of these guys. I think I'd rather stay with the flexibility in the mid-range and go back down to Cam Davis and just keep him in our spot. And if we're going to keep Hubbard as our spot, as our second guy, as we just put him in last, let's look at Lucas Glover. Where can we go here? Up a bit. So we can't do Harris English. He's out with the vid. Sabatini, very good course history here, has been playing very well. I think I would like him much better than Lucas Glover, and I think that's where I'm going to land. So this is a lineup that I feel like has a couple guys who could win it, and Hatton and Na and Sabatini, and a couple guys who can go really low. So I think that the Mark Hubbard, Cam Davis, and McNeely plays are fair plays. Let's save that lineup. Now let's look at another lineup. Let's make another lineup. This will help me make I usually have 3 lineups, so this is going to help me. We're going golf, we're going classic, and we're going all 4 rounds. Here we are again. One thing I like to do is start with my original lineup that we just made here. We're going to import that lineup back. I have one other lineup already created in here, as you can see. I'm going to throw this one back. So this is the lineup we just created. And now here we can kind of tweak it, right? So if we want to try to cover our bases and try to play the odds a little better, maybe 3 or 4 of these guys hit it perfectly, maybe 5 of these guys hit it perfectly, and we get 1 dud. But if we play another lineup with the same 4 or 5 guys and maybe 2 replacements or another replacement, we vary our lineup slightly enough that maybe we get the guy who hits and all 6 of our guys hit, and then we're in the money. So let's look at what we got here. I like all these plays. The least one I'm confident in is Maverick McNeely. So let's see what we can do with his salary and vary off of this lineup and still stay with good players. We talked about Varner being popular, so I don't want to use him. Scott Stallings is a little interesting to me. I don't know. Maybe I go back down to Will Gordon, right? So he was in our list. He's played hot. We have a little bit of salary left over, $400. Let's see if we can tweak off that. Let's keep the Davis, Hubbard, Gordon bottom. And let's see if we can work off of the Sabatini or Nah spots and see if we can upgrade. Ooh, I like Scotty Scheffler. There is our upgrade. So we're going to save $200 or leave $200 on the table, and we're going to vary that lineup by 1 or 2 players there. So these are going to be my 3 lineups. I'm going to, let's find a lobby here. Let's go see what we got. All right. So I play tournaments. And the only sport, well, unless you're playing video game sports, these are the only sports we got. We're going to play this one. We are going to play tournaments, and we're going to check them out. Let's see what we got. Let's go by entry fee. We're not playing up here. We're going way down here. Actually, let's just go featured. As you can see, some of these here are single entry. Some of them are double up. Some of them are multiple entry. We're going to look for tournaments where there is, as you can see here, 3 max entry, right? $3, right? Let's go in here. So here's all the players that are in here. Here's the payouts. If we hit it, it could be $200. Gives you some details here, but we can just enter this straight from here. So we hit enter. I'm not sure what tournament this is. Sorry, folks. That's a hybrid tournament. Let's not worry about that one. Let's get back to the tournaments. All right, let's find the 3 max entries here again. 3 max entry. Nope, we're not playing that one. Let's play. Here. Let's do play this one. We're going to import our 3 lineups. We're going to enter in our other lineups. This one and this one. So there we have it. We have now entered our tournament with our 3 lineups. and we're going to see what happens. If this was helpful at all, like if you guys have more specific questions, let me know. Basically what I'm hoping to do is kind of walk through this. Next week, we'll have more data to kind of digest. The fact that this tournament only had one prior year of ever playing gives us very little data to kind of digest and kind of hash through. So I went mostly with my more recent form and kind of account for some of the shorter hitters here. But that's it. I'm going to post this here, see what happens. Maybe you guys will have some interest and could be interested in playing some fantasy PGA, but it's pretty easy. And I'm definitely here if you ever have any questions. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and good luck to anybody who plays. Thank you very much.